After pulling out a win, just barely, in New Orleans, UConn returns home with a chance to win the regular season title in the American. Tonight, it's another matchup with a nationally ranked team as number 23 Temple comes to the XL Center to take on number 1 UConn. Great to have you with us here at the XL Center alongside Megan Como. I am Eric Freed. For just the third time during their 101 game winning streak, UConn did not win by double figures. So how did Tulane slow UConn down, Meg?
Well, first of all, they believed that they could beat UConn, and it was an exciting game to watch towards the end because they kept fighting. They played exceptional defense. That was the big key late in the game. And as Gino just said, you know, don't be surprised if things don't go well. Look, UConn looked a little surprised at times. Look at this. 4 white jerseys surrounding Gabby Williams. Well, you got to get rid of the ball quickly, right? Well, you know, you got to give Tulane credit. Didn't give her an opportunity. Forced Gabby into one of UConn's 18 turnovers on the night. And I think what happened too, they tried to get in, you know, there Samuelson got the ball in the lane, more help defense, tons of people open around the perimeter. She couldn't find them, and you know, it's a little bit of, okay, everyone trying to win the game and pass the ball around, do it as a team like they've always done.
On February 1st, UConn beat Temple down in Philadelphia. Temple has not lost since that game. That first half was all UConn. They shot 77% from the field, and they led 52-18. But the boards and the second half belonged to Temple. And after knocking off 22nd-ranked USF on the road, Temple's in the top 25 poll. They are riding momentum into Hartford. Not a lot of smiles leaving New Orleans, but we see some smiles here today. A couple of days of work. UConn ready for Temple. Tip is next. UConn women's basketball on SNY is brought to you by Toyota. For great offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By People's United Bank N.A., checking that wins, expertise that wows. By the Connecticut State Farm agents of the game. Anthony Raggi in stores, and Talene Carvalho in Danbury. Speak with them today. And by Trantolo and Trantolo, Connecticut's personal injury law firm. Save time. Call 9. Big crowd here at the XL Center for this Wednesday night game. It is the final game for veteran official Dennis DeMeo. Says he's worked more than 2,000 games in his career. He's done 6 Final Fours. It's fitting because he's a Philly guy.
That's right. With
a Philly guy in Gino against a Philly team in Temple. So
that's right.
Congratulations to Dennis on his retirement. This will be his final game here today.
And he scripted it so that this would be his last game, which
well
is
officiated,
excellent.
right?
Yes, well done.
Starting lineups, 23rd ranked Temple against top ranked UConn, presented by Subaru. Fiona Fitzgerald and Aaliyah Butts. The backcourt that really drives things for this team. Denasia Fountain has come on as of late. Junior from Roxbury, Mass, second on the team in scoring now. And you saw the starting 5 for UConn. It features Crystal Dangerfield for a second consecutive game. Kia Nurse missed the Tulane game, the first game she's missed in her UConn career. She is still in the walking boot and not dressed for tonight's game. So the freshman running the point for Gino Auriemma in his 32nd season, 981 wins, including 26 this season, going up against a familiar foe, someone he knows very well, Tanya Cardoza. And as I mentioned a couple of moments ago, Temple, their last loss was February 1st against UConn. They have really put it together. We'll talk with Meg about that and what's worked for Coach Cardoza over these last couple of weeks. A foul called in the opening seconds before the shot. Ed Sidlaski and Puolani Spurlock joining DeMeo and the officiating crew. 9th season for Tanya Cardoza. Great win at South Florida. Last time out, they went on a 12-0 run down the stretch. Dangerfield's first shot won't go down. Williams gets to the rebound for 2.
I thought they could have called a bump there, too. Nice aggressive hustle there by Williams to snag that offensive rebound.
Fitzgerald 6th in the conference in scoring and a traveling violation. That is one thing that has worked well for Cardoza's team. Just 5 turnovers last time against USF.
Well, how about this? A good job boxing out, but not quite enough. Gabby Williams will keep working those quick feet, gets around the box out. It's not enough to stop her once. You've got to stop her 2 and 3 times a possession.
How much do you think UConn will miss Kia Nurse in this matchup, specifically against this quick Temple team tonight?
A lot. And if they don't knock down shots, it's a completely different ball game.
Katie Lou Samuelson struggling from the field. Did score 17 points on 5 of 14 shooting. And if you're not going to knock down shots, get it done in other ways.
Absolutely right, Eric. If you're not knocking down shots, you know what? Step in the passing lane, steal the ball, score in transition. And as Gina alluded to in the game at Tulane, don't pout and feel sorry for yourself if things aren't going your way. Make things happen.
Butts, the junior out of New Jersey, throws it over to Fitzgerald. Samuelson, defending, very quick player. Now the switch to Williams. That's what Williams has done so well. She can switch, she can cover anybody on the floor. She gets the block shot. And the ball was tipped out of bounds by Temple, still UConn ball.
You know, she may be cold in her last 8 games from where she was in the beginning of the season, but tremendous defense there defensively by Samuelson. She's really worked hard in her defensive game.
Early substitution. Tanea Atkinson, who played so well in Philadelphia in the first meeting between these two teams, wearing number 22, the junior out of New Haven, had a double-double against UConn. She's into the game quickly. Chong, open look for 3. Fitzgerald the rebound. Atkinson to Butts. Chong got a hand in there. 3rd turnover already for Temple. Again, I point out they turned it over only 5 times against USF. And another missed outside shot from UConn. Fitzgerald to Atkinson. Atkinson is the best when it comes to offensive rebounding in the conference. That's Collier. And an early timeout called by Temple.
Phenomenal job running the floor by Collier and another Dangerfield.
So trying to slow things down, Temple takes a timeout in the early moments.
That we have to play for each other. That's something you hear from them a lot. And they also said we can't get comfortable. That's what happened against Tulane. Eric?
Well, I think making shots would heal all wounds, and it just has not happened as of late for UConn. Struggling again from outside the 3-point line, and you wonder about the perimeter defense with Kia Nurse missing the 2nd consecutive game, but also with Kia Nurse, the leadership piece.
Yeah,
it's one thing to be on the bench, another thing to be on the floor.
Big piece missing is just the mental toughness and the emotional stability that she brings to this team, and this is where they're going to have to figure it out. That's what makes playing these games so fun.
Another block, but an offensive rebound for Atkinson. Outside, Fitzgerald sets and knocks down the first points of the game for Temple. She went for 23 points along with 7 assists in the win over South Florida last time out. Collier left open, and that 3 will go down. After missing the first 3, Connecticut has their first make from outside the arc.
Collier just scores from everywhere on the floor.
Fitzgerald defended by Chong. Sherrill sets the screen for Fitzgerald. Good job by Samuelson to stand her ground. Butts for 2.
You know, so much of what's key about playing against Connecticut is you have to have confidence, and you can just tell Temple believes they can be in this game.
Gabby Williams from outside. 4 points for Gabby. Gabby has the 1,000-point mark in reach in this game. Now 8 points away from joining the club. Sherrill trying to get rid of it. Sanaya Chong knew she was in trouble, jumped into the passing lane, and lays it in for 2.
Outstanding half-court defense, took all the passing lanes away, denied on the wings, and then finally the steal from Chong.
Sherrill finds the cutter. That's Gabby Williams there defensively on Atkinson.
That's just Williams' insane athleticism.
Collier posting up. Williams finds her. And a traveling violation. Good defense by UConn here in the first quarter.
Yeah, just pressure everywhere. Everything was taken away. And the nice anticipation by Chong to step in there and steal it.
Already 3 steals for UConn, Meg, and Temple is 2 of 7 from the floor.
Well, and the key right now is, you know, just for UConn, just keep playing half-court defense. For Temple, you know, throw the ball to guys with maroon shirts on.
Atkinson on the drive, count it in the foul. We know she takes toughness to a new level. We know it from her high school days in New Haven, and we saw it firsthand February 1st in Philadelphia.
That was just a ridiculous crossover, changed direction. Look at the upper body strength. Williams tried to help. That's just work in the weight room.
20 points, 10 rebounds in the first meeting with UConn. 9 of those rebounds on the offensive glass. She's a 61% free throw shooter, finishes the three-point play, and that brings it to a 4-point game. Foul was the first on Gabby Williams. Samuelson can't sit back on her, although maybe Temple feels like she's so out of rhythm they'll give her the shot. Who knows right now, but another miss for Katie Lou. And thrown out of bounds by Atkinson. Another turnover for Temple. So the numbers for Katie Lou when it comes to three-point shooting. First 18 games, nearly 50%. She could not miss, it seemed, but the last 8 games. Now we know she was battling an illness for a period of time. She wasn't feeling her best, and as we've talked about before, when you lose your legs, you lose your shot. Maybe she's trying to find her legs and in the process find her shot.
Yeah, and the key is just, as we alluded to earlier, just do different things.
Foul called on Temple. Tanya Cardoza thought her defense had forced a turnover. Instead, a foul is called. Atkinson whistled for her first personal. Collier, count it, and the foul. Good baseline out of bounds play as Samuelson found the cutting Collier for 2.
Temple a little out of sorts defensively, and that under out of bounds can't make Tanya too happy. That's the worst place to not only give up a bucket, but then compounded by fouling.
Nafisa steady as always against Tulane. 26 points, 12 rebounds, was battling foul trouble, was 7 of 9 from the field and 11 of 12 from the free throw line. They needed her to be that good, and she's been good all season long. Fitzgerald forced to take a tough shot. There's Collier in the middle of traffic pulling down the rebound.
A lot of maroon jerseys in there on those offensive boards.
Dangerfield. Can't hit the outside shot, and Butts wants to run off the miss, and look who's running behind her. That's Nafisa Collier tracking down the quick guard, and Dangerfield throws it into the front row.
Just try to get a little too fancy. He's ready to lose his mind.
He knows, though, his hands are tied. He's got to ride with the freshman right now, who has shown great flashes in her first year, but she can also drive her head coach a little crazy.
Tremendous defense by Nafisa Collier that last possession. And then finish it off with a bucket on offense. Just so steady is Collier.
Nafisa perfect from the field. 4 for 4 so far. She has 9 of Connecticut's 17 points. Tough cover here for Collier against Fitzgerald. Atkinson lost the handle. 4 to shoot. And it's going to be tipped out of bounds. Last touched by Temple, and they say it's a shot clock violation.
Nice hands by Collier defensively, and then finishes it off with the block, and then runs the floor and gets the deuce. Temple
will now bring some pressure into the backcourt, make UConn work for it. This is called playing with fire because UConn can break pressure.
Nice pass from Dangerfield. The freshman made the easy play that time.
Fitzgerald with the drive and the kick. The rebound by Gabby Williams off the Berger miss.
Nice box by Williams.
Gabby lost the handle, but somehow saved it to Samuelson. Inside, another bucket for Collier.
Don't know how that wasn't a walk on Williams. UConn got away with one there. Nice finish by Collier.
It's a 9-0 run for UConn. Chong, great defense there, but a foul on the drive called on Sanaya Chong.
There, you know, you live and die by the press. Well, if you're not careful, you give up a layup. Beautifully executed.
Atkinson couldn't make the close one, and off the miss, here comes Connecticut. Closing in on 2 minutes to go in the first, and that's a traveling violation. Sanaya Chong with the travel. That's the third turnover for UConn.
Those are the frustrating plays that kids make that make coaches nuts. An unforced error such as that.
I think you got a little glimpse of the dynamic there as Gino Oriema wasn't too happy. Shea Ralph's in charge of the guards. So I think she was trying to play good cop right there.
Yes, exactly.
Tough post pass, but there is no pass too tough for Nafisa Collier to haul in.
I don't know how the ball got there, and I don't know how she got it up.
Timeout called by Temple with 1:45 to go in the first quarter. UConn now with a 15-point lead.
I mean, how did Williams thread that needle with 3 maroon jerseys around and then perfectly timed? And look at how quickly she gets the ball off her hands up to the rim. No wasted moment.
6 for 6 from the floor for Nafisa Collier. She comes into the game shooting 67% from the floor. That's good for 3rd in Division I.
She just doesn't waste a second on the floor. So incredibly efficient. We've been talking about it all year.
13 points, 3 rebounds so far for the sophomore. So the second timeout of the quarter called by Cardoza. Berger is a threat to shoot. Fountain can't get it. Sanaya Chong with the rebound. Williams to Collier. Gabby Williams getting on the glass. Great save, and it's Collier who tips it to Dangerfield.
It's all hustle.
Hustle and heart. Gabby, I think I just came up with a title for your memoirs. If you ever want. Somebody make a t-shirt for her. Samuelson off the screen, and Collier hesitated, rolling off, and Katie Lou and Nafisa talk it over a little bit. Take you back to the save by Gabby.
Just, you know, not only is she incredibly athletic, it's just the extra effort, wanting it more than the others.
Fitzgerald on the drive, knocked away, grabbed by Collier, numbers the other way for UConn. Fitzgerald tracking Collier. Great pass to Sanaya Chong, but an offensive foul called on Connecticut. Gabby Williams called.
Does not agree with the call. He said that's a girls' basketball call right there. Wasn't made by Dennis DeMeo.
You think Gino will hold up on yelling at Dennis DeMeo in his last game?
No way.
Swishing to 3 is Berger. Very good outside shooter at 36%, tied for the team lead. Final seconds of the quarter. Down the 4, Samuelson. Too strong, and a foul called on UConn with 0.3 of a second to go. It's going to be a personal foul on Gabby Williams.
Yes, number 3. You know, she knows better than to go for that play. Go for that ball with time winding down when she's already got 2 fouls.
12-point UConn lead, and the head coach not happy at all about it. Foul difficulties for UConn. Gabby Williams with 3 fouls in the first quarter. But in that first quarter, UConn shot 58% from the field, and the defense was on point. Huskies leading after 1 here at the XL Center. Can you believe it? The regular season really winding down. You can make sure you have your seats for the final home games, including this Saturday. It's the Senior Day tribute against Memphis on the 25th. Pick your seats and print it home at UConnTickets.com. Touch of spring in Hartford today. Temperatures right around 60. Makes you feel like March is right around the corner. A seat on the bench is in the future for Gabby Williams for the second quarter. She picked up 3 fouls in the first quarter. The second and third fouls came in the last 38 seconds of quarter number 1.
Now here was that last play. Good box out by Temple. You got to give Atkinson credit. And Gabby knows better than to go for that ball in that situation when she's already got 2 fouls. It was the second foul call that Gino didn't agree with and was very verbal with official Ed Zlasky.
So Gabby heads to the bench. 3 of 3 shooting, 5 rebounds, 6 total points and an assist. Natalie Butler comes into the game for some extended minutes here for UConn. We did see Kyla Irwin in the first half in New Orleans.
He's still complaining, and he's yelling at Dennis DeMeo, and he's saying, Dennis, you can't make that call. And Dennis is like from across the court. He goes, I know, I didn't make it. He's still talking about it. Was it Dennis?
I think Dennis called the one with less than a second to go, the third foul.
I thought that was Ed.
He called that from near half court. 3-pointer to start the second quarter. Counted for Leah Butts. Knocked out of bounds. It's Connecticut basketball. Got to be careful with this Temple team. They can shoot 3-pointers, third in the conference at 33%. They made 11 against USF, 11 in 25 attempts. They jumped out to a lead against USF, gave it up late, but battled back. This is a team, according to Tanya Cardoza, #1 goal, making it to the NCAA tournament, trying to leave no doubt, and a big win at USF, getting them in the right direction. UConn is now 0 for 6 from outside the 3-point line after the Chong miss. Butler. She can't hit from outside. Gets it back, feeds it into Collier, and a foul called on Fountain.
Good look inside by Butler to Collier, and there was really only one choice by Fountain, and that was to foul her.
Points in the paint. UConn has 16 of their 23 points in the paint. But as we've seen time and again, teams are just going to try to pack things on the inside and make UConn beat them from the outside, and they just cannot make an outside shot. And off the miss, this is what Temple does well. They want to run. Dangerfield back defensively to force a turnover.
Smart play by Dangerfield, and then a smarter play by Butler to not turn it over.
Temple getting back in transition. They'll try another outside shot. Temple will give Natalie Butler that shot all night.
I don't know if the first pass into the offense is the right shot. Pass the ball around a little bit inside out, then take it.
Eight on the shot clock. Temple down by 9. Chong selling the foul.
Selling it well.
Berger did make contact. Chong wanted to make sure the whistle was blown, so Berger picks up the personal.
Well defended by Dangerfield, and then
half-second delay.
Yeah, a little bit of
the
dramatics.
whiplash.
Aren't the Oscars coming up?
Sunday, indeed. I think it's a little late for the nominating process. Think about it for next year. Another 3-point attempt. This one is good. And Katie Lou Samuelson gets called for the foul. I think they're going to count the 3-point basket, and they're going to call Samuelson for the personal.
Sarcastically clapping And all he can do is smile. The incredulous face from Katie Lou Samuelson. You know, to quote Gino earlier, like, that's a girls' basketball call. Like, you don't make that call. That's not women's basketball the way it's played in 2017.
Collier comes down for the steal, and here's Samuelson.
They are daring UConn to shoot from outside.
Dangerfield traveled.
And this is where Gino alluded to against Tulane in his interview with Justine at halftime. You know what? These guys have to figure it out. They can't feel sorry for themselves. If shots aren't going in or things aren't going right, you have to figure it out. And this is a great opportunity for this UConn team to figure it out.
Their glue player on the bench with 3 personal fouls. Fitzgerald can't hit. Collier has the rebound. That's her 5th rebound to go along with 16 points here in the first half. Collier tries to make that extra pass, and it's lost out of bounds by Butler. Well, Gino talked about this team being too unselfish, that players are sometimes afraid to take shots because it'll mean they could miss the shot, and they're afraid that's going to hurt their team. That's what he was talking about again this week. He touched on it before the Tulane game.
Well, that bounce pass was to the 6'5" Butler. She's used to making that to the 6-foot Williams.
Butts can't knock down the deep 3. It'll be UConn basketball. It's good for this team to deal with a little adversity. Maybe the whistle's not going your way, so play through it. Your shots aren't going down. Figure out a way to take higher percentage shots.
It's called real life. Winning by 40 every game is no way to play.
That's a tough shot by Dangerfield. Comes up 1.5 feet short. Martin running the floor. Dangerfield makes up for it on the other end.
Spectacular defensive play and anticipation.
Beautiful touch passing. Collier gets fouled. She'll go to the free throw line to shoot a couple.
At least they're having fun, unlike against Tulane. They look like deer in headlights. Nice steal, and then just a picture-perfect fast break. Avoiding fouls, quick touches, and then the foul.
"17 points now for Nafisa. Class is always in session with Gino Auriemma and his freshman point guard. She can do the spectacular things. Sometimes it's the basics right now that she's trying to grasp. 18 points for Collier, 10 for her teammates. UConn on top, 28-14.
Not that you don't want to spread it around, but if I'm UConn, I'm looking for Collier on the offensive end.
She's outscored Temple by herself. Keep going for it. And she's been active on the defensive end as well. And a traveling violation. I think Shantae Taylor, the freshman, just into the game with a little surprise. She had some room there. So surprised she walked. That's already 10 turnovers now for Cardozo's team. Fitzgerald whistled for the foul. What's the answer for Katie Lou Samuelson, who continues to struggle from outside the three-point line? 0 for 3 tonight. Does she try to create something off the dribble? Do they try to post her up on the inside?
You know,
she's got the size.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. I mean, but you just keep shooting. You keep playing. You try not to focus too much on it. Just keep making basketball plays.
Butler to Collier. Collier walks. Game's gone about as sloppy as the sidewalks of Connecticut after this thaw over the last couple of days. A little bit of a muddy mess right now. Atkinson's been taken out of her game so far. Fitzgerald can't hit the 3, and Chong pulls down the rebound. Collier. Beautiful pass in low, but Butler waited too long to make the move to the basket. A tie-up, possession arrow pointing Connecticut's way.
You know, that's where you got a perfect pass to Butler. Just shoot it. They're not going to block your shot. Be tough with the ball. Get those arms out. They got to hit your arm in order to get to the ball.
They do draw up a play for Samuelson, and she is fouled shooting the jumper.
I love Samuelson coming off that screen. If the defense trails, she ends up curling like she did that time. She reads the defense really well, and getting her moving, I think, can help get her out of his funk.
3 points now for Samuelson as Fountain comes back into the game. Berger to the bench for Temple. Al's 21-5 overall, 11-2 in conference play, and an outstanding season for Temple after coming up just short of trying to get to the NCAAs a year ago. This is the largest lead of the game so far for Connecticut. They're on top by 16. 5 minutes to go here in the first half. Good feed by Fitzgerald, but a traveling violation. You saw at the very top of your screen the animated body movements to go along with the elevated voice. The exasperated head coach. His team is up by 16. Well, the positive for Gino Auriemma's team, they have held Temple scoreless over the last 4 minutes and 54 seconds. Temple just 1 for 5 here in the quarter. And he has Nafisa Collier on his team, which is a good thing right now.
Well, I mean, she runs the floor, finishes, right-handed, left-handed, doesn't matter. You leave her open, she'll drain the three. And her moves in the lane are just poetry in motion. 17, second game in a row. She's had 17 before the half. Right now, you see she's got 18.
7 of 8 shooting. She comes in averaging just over 19 points a game. That's second on the team and in the conference to Samuelson. It's amazing when you think about how far she's come from her freshman year, where she averaged just under 7 points a game and 17 minutes a game. Well, this is her 16th minute that she's played in this game here today. Samuelson knocks down a much-needed three.
And it's not like Samuelson's body language has looked bad this evening at all. She just keeps playing. She's been laughing, talking, communicating. She knew it would eventually drop.
Fountain tries the jumper. First points for the junior. Transfer from Georgia Tech. Went for 22 on 8 of 14 shooting against USF. So she's been quiet here so far. Showing back to Samuelson. .345 to go in the second quarter. Butts, tough shot, good defense by Dangerfield. Atkinson on the offensive glass.
Yeah, who else? Atkinson crashing the boards.
She takes a tumble, still down. Fitzgerald is down as well. Wild, messy scramble. It goes off the basket support. It'll be Connecticut basketball.
That's not always pretty.
We'll have to send that sequence to the Basketball Hall of Fame up in Springfield. Here is Justine.
Hey, Eric, in that last huddle, Gino was telling his team, hey, I know things are off with Gabby and Kiao, but offensively it has to change. We have to have better movement. There has to be more continuity. Rebound the ball and get out in transition. Eric?
Butts gets the steal, taking it away from Dangerfield. UConn trying to recover. Atkinson will try a three. So one thing, if you have Atkinson taking a three, she's not underneath to get an offensive rebound.
Can you be two places at once? I wouldn't put it past her.
Collier thought once, does go into Butler, who gets bumped, and she'll go to the free throw line. As she steps to the free throw line, we remind you that Michelle Yu and Kara Walters will have our first half recap. Plus, you'll hear from Gino Auriemma as he gets closer to 1,000 career wins on the halftime show presented by your local Ford dealer. As Kia Nurse watches on, everything got lost in the shuffle in Tulane because it was such a tight game, but Gino did confirm to us that he does have a new contract. He did sign a 5-year contract extension. It was reported by USA Today. We talked about it with him in New Orleans. He said, yeah, gave it the what's the big deal shrug. It was going to happen. But we like to point out, well, people do know that even though you've got that ageless look to you, at some point, you're going to decide to hang it up. But he's in for another 5 years, starting with this year.
I know a lot of people breathed a sigh of relief to know that he's around for 5 more years. What he's done here, it's just hard to quantify.
And there was no sense of this being, 5 years and then that'll be it. He's kind of on the Tom Brady plan where he's just going to keep reassessing. If he feels good and he's got great teams, why step away? Butler in trouble. And a 3-second violation as she was swarmed in the paint.
Now, yeah, you see, you got to catch that ball initially. They're going to swarm her. But, to Butler's credit, she just keeps fighting away.
Gabby Williams watching from the bench this entire quarter. She picked up 3 fouls in the first quarter. Final 2 minutes before halftime. On the turnaround, that's short. Monasia Baldock missing her first field goal attempt. Well, Justine talked about it a couple of minutes ago that in that last timeout, Gino Auriemma was talking about move the ball around. We know that Gabby and Kia aren't out there. Just move it, but we're seeing quick shots, poor shot selection, and not that ball movement that I think he's looking for.
Yeah, they're looking for that quick fix, the first open shot, and they're taking it, and they're not thinking it through. And it's all part of the learning process.
They're playing a good Temple team, nationally ranked for the first time in 11 years as Fitzgerald threw it off of Sanaya Chong.
Temple has struggled offensively these last several possessions.
Now, Temple hasn't looked sharp, and it just seems like on the offensive end, a lot of this stuff is self-inflicted as Butler gets called for the foul. Butler has been the only reserve used by Auriemma tonight. He has not gone to Kyla Irwin. He has not gone to Molly Bent. And he's not going to be able to go to one of his starters, Gabby Williams, until the third quarter, although he'd love to get her in there now, but
you don't dare risk it.
Samuelson, after it was tipped. Another turnover by Temple. Dangerfield trying to get to the free throw line. She'll get more than that. Count the basket and a chance for a three-point play.
I must say, that was a play thanks to really good team defense, but that was a play that she is lucky she made that shot. But it shows you her athleticism and her strength as well.
First points for Crystal Dangerfield tonight. She had missed her first 4 field goal attempts. Dangerfield, Chong, Samuelson, and Collier have gone the distance here in the first half. Another turnover by Temple. It has been a struggle in that category for both teams, both in the double figures. Samuelson on the drive will go to the line to shoot 2. Foul on Butts on the reach-in. Temple with 14 turnovers, UConn with 10 turnovers. 2 free throws coming up for Katie Lou Samuelson, who's 2 for 2 tonight, 81% on the season. Bit of a struggle at the free throw line for Connecticut against Tulane. They were 19 of 28 after going a perfect 10 for 10 against South Carolina. Berger back into the game.
It's a lot different when you got to make free throws at the end of the game when it really matters.
So you could feel the tension down the stretch, couldn't you?
And Dangerfield, you know, a freshman, first time ever in that position. Not totally surprising she would miss a couple.
Fountain. Atkinson, another offensive rebound. Kicked over to Berger, good shooter, knocks down the 3. Second three-pointer for Khadijah Berger.
Gina was irate because they gave up an offensive rebound, which led to that open shot.
Samuelson for 3. Double figures now for Katie Lou, Meg.
I knew as soon as the ball got into her hands, it was going up. She felt it.
She's now 2 for 6 from outside the three-point line. 12 points. Collier leading the way with 18. Shot clock is off, game clock down to 8. Trouble in the corner, and last touch by Fitzgerald, so another turnover for Temple. See if UConn uses a timeout here. They will, and they can advance it to half court if they want with 5.6 to go.
These are great moments for Gino and for Tanya to teach their team. Obviously, Tanya doesn't want to give up a 3. And let's see what play Gino calls.
Actually, they cannot advance it to half court because the ball was lost out of bounds. It wasn't after a made basket, so correction. It'll be UConn ball. They'd have to go 94 feet.
Nice defense there. I mean, Temple gave it away a little bit.
Samuelson to Collier. Clock starts down to 4, down to 3, and an offensive foul called on Nafisa Collier. Not much of an argument on that one as she had the arm out. Time for a final heave. Fitzgerald off the mark. 41-19 at halftime. Here's the Collier foul.
So let's see, does she push out?
Didn't look it. Looked like the arm was up.
Yeah, Dennis DeMeo had the angle right there.
Didn't look like it on the replay, however. That gets us to halftime. Let's send it over to Justine, who is standing by with Gino.
Gino, she proves herself time and time again. Where would this team be without Nafisa Collier?
Well, right now we'd be up about 5 or 6 more points if she would stop passing the ball to Nat and just go score. I mean, there's nobody in America that can guard her, and she just is too unselfish. You know, like even on that play, I tried to make her be selfish. You know, take the ball to the basket really hard, and she's the one player that we know we can get it. Once we get her the ball, we're going to score, and she just decides sometimes, well, I think I've shot the ball too many times. You know, I don't know how to tell her that.
How do you get better ball movement in the second half then?
Well, our guards just got to do a much better job of moving the ball. You know, I think the ball gets stuck, and then we start dribbling it and dribbling it and dribbling it. So, you know, that's a big priority for us, get some ball movement in the second half.
Thanks,
Good
Gino.
question, by the way.
Eric, back to you.
I missed it. Was it a compliment at the
Gino
back?
said, oh, good question, by the way.
Oh, good. Well, she asks good questions all the time. Good questions coming from Gary Apple. From Michelle Yu to Kara Walters after this timeout. Halftime stats presented by Bob's Discount Furniture with UConn on top of Temple, 41-19. Temple scored 18 points in the first half of the meeting February 1st in Philadelphia. So some more good defense from UConn. There have been some issues. UConn shooting a little under 50%. Trouble with turnovers for both teams. Eric and Meg back with you here courtside at the XL Center. We can harp on some of the things not going right for UConn right now, but what do you think is going right for UConn? And
well,
hang on. Show us in Comel's court vision if you don't mind.
Of course. Well, you know, defensively, I think they've got to feel pretty good about the way they got down in the stance, got in the passing lanes, and they switch on every screen. Check it out. Every time there's an interchange with Temple, they switch. Temple a little bit out of sorts. You know, and if you're struggling offensively, well, then just sit down and play good defense. Here we go again. Screen on the ball. You watch Williams jumps out and stops the ball. Bad shot. UConn gets the rebound. Check this out. Everyone manned up. You see gray shirt on the inside of every red jersey. Now look at Chong. Anticipating the next pass, steps right in the passing lane. Tremendous defense. Nice anticipation by Chong.
Comel's Court Vision is brought to you by Yale New Haven Health. Fiona Fitzgerald and Tanae Atkinson, both 1 for 8 from the field in the first half. Two go-to players, certainly Fitzgerald, one of the very best players in the American. And Atkinson had a double-double last time against UConn when these two teams met the start of this month. Tipped by Samuelson, knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Temple, UConn ball. The original starting 5 is out there for UConn. That includes Gabby Williams, of course, picking up 3 fouls in the first quarter. Did not play in the second quarter.
Temple switching on every interchange as well.
Collier. Back out to Dangerfield. She'll try a deep three. Rebound for Temple. Atkinson on the run around Chong. Goes right after it on the glass, but Collier takes it for Connecticut. Williams picked up her dribble, and now Collier calls for it. A rare fumble by Collier, but somehow, some way, she makes something out of it.
With a big smile on her face, saying, well, it wasn't pretty, but she'll take it.
20 points for Collier. 15th time this season she's gone for 20 or more. Good defense by Samuelson on Fountain. Collier feeds it. There is Samuelson on the inside.
You know, you pointed that out early in the game. What does she do? Does she get in the lane, post up? Absolutely perfect play there by Samuelson, and the nice entry pass as well.
14 points now for Katie Lou. The zone defense. Crystal Dangerfield gets a steal at the top of the zone and finishes. 10th steal for Connecticut.
That's just hands up in the passing lane.
Atkinson drives it, leans in on Samuelson. More good defense by UConn as Atkinson can't make the tough shot.
They let that contact go. That possession, those were some of the fouls they were calling in the first half.
Williams gets it back. Nice little head move. Got the defense back on the heels. She drives to the basket, lays it in, and a great start to the second half for top-ranked UConn. They stretch the lead out to 30 points. An 8-0 run to start the third quarter. And Crystal Dangerfield turning defense into offense here in Hartford. Great start to the second half for top-ranked UConn. They've stretched the lead out to 30 points, their largest lead of the game. We take a look at the drive of the game, presented by GMC.
Well, you know, Gabby Williams is so explosive. Can go to the right, go to the left. That quick step and crossover. So difficult to defend.
If you think back to that meeting in Philadelphia, UConn was flat in the second half. They had a big lead at halftime, shot great. Temple came out. They took the first shot at UConn, kept going, outscored Connecticut in the second half. Maybe that's part of the message here for UConn coming out of the locker room. Just don't give Temple any thoughts of making a comeback in this game.
Well, and so many people were questioning UConn after that game at Tulane. I think they're answering some questions here tonight.
Samuelson.
Samuelson with the big steal, Eric. But you know what? They're answering their own questions more than anybody else's.
Batted around. Berger saved it. Here's Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald tries to drive around Chong. Couldn't get it. And now Collier to Samuelson. Berger.
Great hands by Berger, although she's wincing. She hurt herself.
Fitzgerald turns it into points on the other end. Berger's going to stay out there. You're right, Meg, limping around a little bit.
The sub is coming in for her. I think it's Martin.
Samuelson for two. That's something that she has, that mid-range game. And with her size, the way she can elevate, it's a pretty unstoppable shot. One and done, pushed up to Dangerfield. Dangerfield, beautiful little pass to Williams for the layup.
And they had numbers. It was a 5-on-3 advantage.
Atkinson back to Fitzgerald. Berger tries to work with Fountain. Fountain, tough shot for 3 over Samuelson. 5 points for Fountain. Sanaya Chong sets for 3. Atkinson the rebound, the handoff to Butts. Butts taking it right at Gabby Williams and just lost her footing. Turnover for Temple. Well, UConn teams have that knack for frustrating and taking out of their rhythm the best players for their team. Butts and Fitzgerald, certainly those players for Temple. Butts held to 5 points. Fitzgerald held to 5 points. They are combined 4 of 17 from the field. Collier.
Not being too unselfish there, doing what her coach wants her to do and shoot the ball.
It's interesting. We talked about it before in the first half that he thought maybe the team is too unselfish, and then he tells Justine he wants Nafisa Collier to be selfish. So she has the free pass from the head coach.
Well, she scores every time she touches it.
Fountain. Rebound for Gabby Williams. 6 rebounds now for Gabby. Dangerfield. Hot pass. On target. Collier for 2 more.
Dangerfield set it up beautifully by dribbling over to the right, knowing she was going to fire it back to the left.
You need soft hands like Nafisa Collier has to haul in some of those Dangerfield passes. Dangerfield definitely in a rhythm here in the second half. About the turnover, Gabby Williams, 2 points shy of 1,000 in her career, looks for the assist, but Samuelson has it knocked away. Last touch by Temple. UConn basketball, a timeout on the floor here in the third quarter. Connecticut has outscored Temple 16-5 in this half. Dangerfield with the assists. No look to Collier. Take a peek inside the Connecticut huddle. UConn trying to wrap up the American regular season championship and the #1 seed in the tournament. They'll do so with a win here today, and they are well on their way, on top 57-24 here in the third quarter. Nafisa Collier 4 shy of matching her career high that she got in the opener against Florida State. Gabby Williams 2 points shy of 1,000 in her career. UConn basketball out of the timeout. Here is Gabby. Will it be a jumper? Yes. 1,000 for Gabby Williams, the 43rd player in Connecticut history to join the 1,000-point club.
And I'm glad she got it on a mid-range jumper, because sometimes she doesn't want to shoot when she's open from that range.
And we've talked about it time and again this year. When that shot becomes a regular part of her repertoire, she'll be borderline unstoppable.
Yeah, she's close to being unstoppable now.
Fitzgerald.
Speaking of.
Held to 7 points in the first meeting with UConn, has 8 points here tonight. Inside of 3 minutes to play in the third. And Samuelson and Fitzgerald get tangled up. Fitzgerald with the foul.
There, no thought, just catch, square up, and shoot.
Kia Nurse had joined the 1,000-point club earlier this season. Collier, 26 for the second consecutive game for Nafisa Collier. I don't know what's wrong with Nafisa tonight, but she's 11 of 12 from the field.
She missed one, huh?
We rack up that miss. Fountain for 3. (61-30). Chong waited, and her patience was rewarded. 4 points now for Sanaya.
Once again, a steady evening here for Chong. 1 turnover, but Dunning You know, the nice thing about Chang is that you don't even notice her. She plays so steady all the time.
The great thing about Justine Ward is we never forget to go to her. Justine, go ahead.
Eric, you might remember early on in the season, Gabby Williams' right hamstring would cramp up on her, and I asked her about it. She said it hasn't been bothering her because I learned how to deal with it. The team training staff also adjusted some things she was doing in the weight room that were causing it to flare up, and they said we just really took an aggressive approach in treatment, and it hasn't been an issue since.
Well, this is a tough time of the season, Justine. Thank you. As Chang can't hit and Fountain pulls down the rebound. You know, you got to kind of rest up a little bit with the NCAA tournament around the corner, but UConn only really available to give Kia Nurse that rest she needs because of that stress reaction. But there'll be a little time here. You've got the game against Memphis, got the game against USF. UConn a bye into the quarterfinal round of the American tournament at Mohegan Sun. So there'll be a little bit of an opportunity here just to at least manage the bodies, but if you've got something nagging, it's really going to act up here this time of year.
And this is why it's so important, and they do such a good job of eating well, getting proper rest, taking care of themselves, as Fitzgerald knocks down another jumper. And this is a time of year where your bodies start to break down, and if you are in the best kind of conditioning, that certainly helps. A lot of mental toughness needed too.
Samuelson short on the jumper. That conditioning and that team that helps the team you see on the court is going to be extra important this year just because of the limited numbers for UConn, how they don't have the depth. The rotation is very tight. It'll be Temple basketball.
Oh, although I think back to Gino Auriemma years ago, he would say, you're 18, 19 years old. How can you be tired? I guess we could say the same to him now in his early 60s. But he is tired.
Final minute of the third quarter. Fitzgerald. And a traveling violation. Turnover number 20 for Temple. Time for tonight's UConn trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz. Who is the fastest UConn player to reach 1,000 career points in program history? We'll have the answer coming up in just a little bit. Gabby getting her 1,000th point here tonight. About 4 seconds between the shot clock and the game clock. Dangerfield. Collier makes the extra pass to Gabby Williams. Could be some unselfishness that the head coach won't be too upset about right there.
Well, yeah, Feast is saying, I got an assist. I got something.
Atkinson can't hit. Collier pulls down another rebound. That's 13 rebounds to go along with 26 points. And at the buzzer, just off the mark. Good third quarter for Connecticut. They'll take a 30-point lead into quarter four. Perfect shooting tonight for Gabby Williams. She's 7 of 7. Nafisa Collier is 11 of 12, and UConn is on their way to their 27th win in 27 tries this year. Coming up on an all-new Gino Auriemma show, presented by UConn Health tonight after the postgame show here on SNY. Gino lays out the two prerequisites, the two things you must have to succeed at UConn.
Things that you have to be a really good player at Connecticut. One, if you have this overwhelming talent, this great talent, and obviously we've had our share of those, you know, all you have to do is come to our practice facility, look up on the wall and go, man. Two, you have to be incredibly bright to play here. You have to have a pretty good basketball IQ. If you have both of those things, then you have a chance to be like the iconic guys that we have.
And that's how Megan Pattison got into the University of Connecticut. Now we know the rest of the story.
As we know, I couldn't make the team today, or probably get into the school.
So what you're saying is you're a trailblazer. I'm trying to find the positive.
I appreciate that.
Ball is kicked by Butts. Original starting five still out there for UConn. Wasn't a perfect start for Connecticut. They missed their first 7 three-point attempts. There were some ups and downs in the second quarter. Gabby Williams to Collier. She has been a constant, however. Nafisa Collier matching her career high, 28 points here tonight against Temple.
You know, a great lesson from Tulane, you know. As Gino lamented that night, things weren't going well and they pouted. Well, they didn't start off tonight shooting exceptionally well. But you know what? They fought through it. And look at them now.
Turnover by Fitzgerald. Grabbed by Williams to Chong to Dangerfield. I think that was intended for Williams, but Chong intercepted it. And it all works out in the end for Connecticut as Samuelson makes the three.
Well, a big smile on Samuelson's face, but give the credit to Sanaya Chong for the great steal and then the heads-up pass out to the three-point line.
98 assists now this season for Sanaya Chong against just 22 turnovers. There is the 22nd turnover for Temple. It turns into points. Dangerfield on the assist to Samuelson.
And Gino will point this out to them. This is when it's fun. When you play like this, it's fun.
Martin on the turnaround. 7 rebounds to go along with 14 points for Gabby Williams. Skip pass is a little bit too high to Dangerfield. Temple ball back to the hoop from Samuelson. Sanaya Chong getting the assist on the Samuelson three. She's now knocked down 3 3-pointers here tonight at 8 attempts. Kyla Irwin into the game for UConn for the first time as Crystal Dangerfield checks out. Berger. Irwin getting a hand in there. That's one thing we've noticed with Kyla in the limited minutes she's seen. She usually gets in the middle of things.
She's productive, yeah.
She's trying. Kyla playing about 8 minutes a game. Collier thought twice about it. You know what was going through her mind at that time? Gino Auriemma was saying, shoot it. Don't
Yeah,
give it up. And
he was right behind her, too.
she has gone over the 30-point mark for the first time in her Connecticut career. 31 points now for Nafisa Collier, and Connecticut's on top by 40. Samuelson on the deck, fighting for the loose ball. Chong had it knocked out of her hands.
You know, typically when players hesitate, it doesn't always work out so well. Well, not if you're Nafisa Collier, a new career high.
I mean, that could not have ripped through the net any purer than it did. 13 of 14 from the field, 2 of 2 from outside the three-point line. Samuelson turns around, she'll fire a three. Didn't miss by much. Sanaya Chong on the offensive glass. How about that?
Sanaya Chong is everywhere.
Saturday, Sanaya will be one of the stars of the show along with Tierney Lawler. It'll be senior day at Gamble Pavilion. And it'll be a great day for Sanaya considering how good this senior year has been for her. Our next and final UConn game on SNY will be this Saturday afternoon from Gamble Pavilion. The Huskies take on Memphis. Our coverage will begin at 4 p.m. and it will include full coverage of the senior day ceremony only on SNY. We're still a couple of years away from the Nafisa Collier's senior day ceremony. The sophomore leaves the game with 31 points. Natalie Butler into the game for Collier and gets the rebound. Samuelson, Chong for three.
Chong just peaking at the right time of not only the season, but her career.
Gabby Williams on the drive and a foul called on Temple. Even though Saturday is our last UConn Telecast of the Year on SNY. It is the last production for Eddie Warman, who's been doing great work in the truck with us all season long. This was Eddie's first time with this crew this year. I think he survived past initiation. So, Eddie, thank you for all you've done.
You're
great
the
work.
best, Eddie.
Back in the tape room. Eddie's heading off to Mets duty down in Florida.
He's now a diehard women's basketball fan, too.
We convert them. Yes, we do. Molly Bent into the game for the first time, and that's it for Katie Lou Samuelson. Samuelson knocked down 3 threes, 3 of 9 from outside the three-point line. 19 points for Katie Lou. Chong, Williams, Irwin, Butler, and Bent, the 5 on the floor right now for UConn. Fountain splashes another 3.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
You shouldn't. Some things are just better left unsaid. She's leading Temple in scoring with 11 points. That's Gabby Williams. Even though Gabby is 7 of 7 from the field tonight, 15 points and 7 rebounds, she may want that play at the top of the highlight reel. Gabby spikes it down. Timeout on the floor. UConn rolling. Thank you, Michelle. Looking forward to it. We'll see you in just a bit. 81-38 our score. Time to answer tonight's trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz. Gabby Williams joined the 1,000-point club tonight. Who is the fastest to get to the 1,000-point mark in UConn history? No surprise here. It just took 55 games for Maya Moore to get to 1,000.
Maya was a machine, and she still is in the WNBA.
Temple basketball out of the timeout. Butts for 2. 10 points now for Leah Butts. Fountain leading them in scoring with 11. Fitzgerald also in double figures with 10.
Butts, the 5'4" junior, is fearless going into that lane.
UConn a plus 11 in rebounding margin. They've done a very good job on the boards against Temple here today. Natalie Butler sticks with it. Got to persevere.
Yeah, you knew she'd get a big ovation from the appreciative crowd for that perseverance.
10,149 the attendance tonight here at the XL Center. Last touch by Molly Bent. And here's Natalie Butler's first points of the game.
You know, you wonder, why didn't you just shoot it there? But to her credit, she stuck with it and finished.
Sanaya Chong is done for the game, had 9 points, 3 assists, 2 turnovers officially, as Tierney Lawler into the game. And a foul called on UConn. Tierney should get the start on Saturday, right?
I would think
tradition
so.
holds.
I would think so.
Oh, Gerard Guilfoyle just reminded me. Happy birthday to Kia Nurse. I had written that down in my notes just for the record. It's right there. I don't know if you want to spend your birthday in a walking boot. If you've seen anything on Twitter, you know Kia likes to dance. I doubt that's going to be part of the birthday celebration tonight if you're in a walking boot.
But look at her. She looks good. She's all dressed up.
That boot is not ready for any kind of dancing.
No, that would not be recommended at this point in the season.
4 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. This is a Temple team that came in with a ton of momentum, a 5-game winning streak, coming off a win over a ranked opponent on the road. A foul called on Molly Bent. Getting into the top 25 for the first time in 11 years, but even though there were a couple of bumps in the road for UConn, they had efficient scoring from the Fisa Collier and Gabby Williams, a combined 20 of 21 from the field.
That is ridiculous. Impressive numbers, you know, in that bump, one of those bumps you alluded to.
Sanaya's back into the game as Gabby Williams heads out.
And they have nobody to bring off the bench except people who already came out. But he had to give Gabby the ovation.
One of those bumps in the road with the 3 fouls in the first quarter for Gabby Williams. Had to play through that.
Right, and the bump at Tulane. But, you know, you have to give, I think, Connecticut a lot of credit for coming out here, righting the ship a little bit. And, again, it's all relative. Their woes are a lot better than other teams' woes.
Well, Justine talked about it early in our telecast about the team getting together and trying to talk things out a little bit, just make sure you're refocused.
Yeah,
and
players-only meeting.
And that's the thing to remember. Here they are playing another ranked opponent here tonight. I mean, that's piled up all season long. In non-conference alone, they had 8 wins against teams ranked in the top 15. So they've had these big games, big game weeks. And you know, I think that builds up through the course of a season. And here we are, just a couple games of the regular season.
And it's human nature, you know, after you have all of these huge victories, it's human nature to overlook opponents. I mean, they're kids, number one. But you have to give this team a heck of a lot of credit for not only the physical toughness, but the mental toughness they have shown throughout the course of this year thus far.
Berger lost the handle. Butts couldn't hold on to it. Grabbed by Natalie Butler into the hands of Tierney Lawler.
Butler is so good about looking long, trying to give the long outlet pass.
Lawler gets the handoff from Butler. Back for Sanaya Chong. Chong on the run. And a foul called on Temple will send Sanaya Chong to the free throw line to shoot a couple. So UConn will get Memphis on Saturday. Memphis 6-7 in conference play, 13-13 overall. And of course, the big part of Saturday will be the pregame ceremony, senior day, honoring Sanaya Chong and Tierney Lawler. I'll have it for you right here on SNY. We'll have plenty to say about Sanaya, you and I, on Saturday, I think.
Absolutely. So, you know, it's always a special day at UConn, senior day. It's the last 4 years in this program, not easy. A lot of good that comes with it. But for many of these kids, it's the hardest thing they've ever done, but also the most rewarding.
Butts over to Berger. Butler with the rebound. And now Tierney Lawler off to Sanaya Chong. UConn held Temple to 19 first half points, setting the tone in this game. Irwin couldn't get the rebound. Natalie Butler throws it up for 2. Knocked away by Sanaya Chong. Ben, I think you heard about a half dozen voices on the UConn bench saying, shoot it. Kyla Irwin will shoot it. Knock it down for her first points.
Gabby Williams taking over Tierney Lawler's role on the bench, high-fiving for the three-pointer.
As time ticks away here, Temple throws it out, and Chong gets fouled. We had a 4th member of our crew here today, Will Cronk, a high school senior. His mom bid on a chance to hang around with us here tonight, shadowing us, shadowing our crew, getting an idea how things work on the SNY crew, all to benefit Ann's Place in Danbury. Great group of people taking care of cancer patients and their families. Rebecca Lobo actually went out and emceed the banquet, so it was good to have Will here today, open his eyes to the business. Give him a front row seat. I think Will's in the truck right now. I don't know if John DeMarsco is letting him direct. We like to immerse people into roles here. 1 minute to play in the 4th quarter. On the drive, grabbed by Tierney Lawler. And the seniors will come across half court. Michelle and Kara will have you covered on the post-game show coming up in just a couple of minutes. Stolen away by McIntyre. In the first meeting between these two teams, it was a 97-69 win for UConn. 51 points scored by Temple in the second half, most in a half against UConn by an opponent this year. But you look at the scoreboard today, another opponent in the 40s, Meg.
I wouldn't have expected UConn to have 90 as Butler turned it over there.
Gets it back, and the final seconds tick away, and that will do it here at the XL Center. UConn has won the regular season American Conference title for the 4th straight year. They are 14-0 right now in conference play. They will be the #1 seed in the American tournament at Mohegan Sun Arena coming up in a couple of weeks. And you just touched upon it. You didn't expect them to put 90 points on the board, but you look up, it's 90 for UConn. Gabby Williams, perfect from the field, 7 of 7. Didn't pick up another foul after those 3 first quarter fouls. Nafisa Collier, 13 of 14 from the field, a career high 31 points, and she is our player of the game, presented by People's United Bank. Look at that stat line, another double-double for Collier. That's 11 this season, 12 in her career. Let's head back over to Justine with Gino.
Gino, at the half, you called for aggressive, selfish play. Did you get it?
Did I really? Did I call for that? I thought our defense was really, really good. I mean, the whole game, our defense was pretty good. And the second half, we got out in transition a little bit. Then we got much better ball movement. You know, we took your suggestion, obviously. And once Fisa and Gabby started handling the ball more around the foul line, it just opened up a whole lot of things for us. And that second half was really, especially that third quarter, was great basketball.
Coming off that Tulane game, what was the mission tonight?
You know, I think any game that we play, you know, obviously we want to get better than the game we played before, and certainly we were better than the game we played before. You know, as you can see, our guards are kind of looking around and they're not sure. And, you know, not having Key out there, sometimes it's not evident, but it's pretty glaring when we don't have her out there. And I thought they handled themselves really well in the second half. You know, I couldn't be happier for them.
You clinch your 4th straight American Conference regular season title. Is there any satisfaction for you and this team in that?
Yeah, there is. We talked about it before the game started about, you know, as you go along the way, you know, there's regular season games that you want to win. And then there's, you know, 3 things at the end of the year. There's a conference championship, there's a tournament championship, and then, you know, the NCAA tournament begins. So this was the first step, and now we can get on with number 2.
And the trophy is out here. Erica Meg, back to you.
Well, it's good to hear Gino's taking suggestions from you, Justine. That's good. Keep that in mind for future use. Sanaya Chong hoping that that's just the first of 3 trophies that she'll be able to raise high above her head as UConn wins the American regular season title. Posing for photos, 90-45, the final here at the XL Center. UConn women's basketball on SNY, brought to you by Subaru of New England, supplying all-wheel drive vehicles with a passion for winter adventure. By UConn Health, the official healthcare provider of UConn Athletics. By Connecticut Lighting Centers and Restoration Lighting Gallery, so much more than just a lighting store. And by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Time for the senior pick with the American regular season trophy. Smile, ladies. They're orchestrating it right to the very end. They want the backdrop to be just right. Kyla Irwin joining in. The bench celebrating. UConn doubles up Temple.